Hey there folks, a little Patreon episode here with Cry and YZ, so I'm hoping we're going to get a good bit of action. Not the longest one here, but I'm hoping it's going to be frenetic. Now Mechboy, honestly, probably the best hero against Eldar at the moment. Mechboy's been getting a lot of love, not in terms of any balance changes, just people are realising how strong he is. And I find it cool that we got the double sluggers here from YZ. Against Eldar, you don't always see the double sluggers. It's a little bit awkward because Banshees will beat any individual slugger. So it means you get a lot of decent engagement for the Banshees. Now obviously Banshees will also beat an isolated shooter boy, but at least if you're near garrisons, you can just go in there and sort of negate one another. So Warlock managing to get into melee there with the Mechboy, but of course he teleports behind the Warlock, going for the natural requisition, very annoying. Warlock scouts out the gen farm, sees the sluggers, disengages for now, probably going to go in, try and hit them with a destructor whilst they're capping. And we've got a bit of skirmishing here. The Guardian's just going to pew-pew the sluggers while they're capping. They're actually a little bit in cover though, these boys. I'm shocked that the shooters are disengaging. But this should be a good engagement here for Cry because of the Banshees. Banshees beating the sluggers early on is good. Yeah, and over here we see the other sluggers retreating. They probably hit retreat just before the destructor came in. You can see the energy's quite low, and we've got a bit of trading. Interesting that YZ is opting to fully cap the wreck point here. I think that is a mistake. But maybe not. It's going to be a while till another thing comes out. Wow, he's going for the Daka straight away. This is an old school sort of... In retail, the big shooter for the Mechboy only costs 20 power, so basically always against Eldar in retail, you would always go for the big shooter first. But the Banshees had less health out of the gate in retail as well, same with the Guardians. Well, Guardians had the same HP, but they cost more. So you could punish a lot. It's definitely not as effective in Elite Mod, but we'll see whether it can still be good or not. We don't have any battery pack here, so there's not too much support for the sluggers, but actually it was quite good. Because the Guardians were shooting at the Mechboy, you had double wire buffing the damage, and you had the big shooter and the shooter boys helping the sluggers against the Banshees there. So it was a good job. Cry retreated when he did. Will the sluggers turn around here and hit these Guardians? Could have got a few models. A little bit sloppy from YZ. What's he looking at? I don't know. I guess these sluggers re-encountered the Warlock and had to pull back. We've got burners over here. A lot of upgrades here for YZ and not a lot of units, which is interesting. Cry opting for Rangers is quite unusual. Now, I'll tell you what isn't unusual. The Immolator. Honestly, right now, with the current performance of the Immolator, it's kind of... Oh, lucky from Cry. Is he going to get a wipe here? With the Immolator's damage over time, it's possible, but it's so risky with the big shooter doing all that damage. Good job he retreated out when he did there, because the Mechboy was very close to killing him. Mechboy maybe could have stayed in play there. I'm not sure what the cooldown was in his teleport. Probably worried about a special attack, knocking him over. But if you kept him in play, he could have come over here, probably forced off these sheaves with a bit of kiting, gone into the garrison. Could have been a pain for these guys. Though they are getting a grenade. I'm not sure if that grenade would have killed the Mechboy at this much if he was in a garrison. Maybe. So probably a good job there by YZ actually playing conservatively. My brain right now is quite rusty. And as usual, I'm wanting to play hyper aggressively. Got some long rifles here on the Rangers. Oh yeah, back to the Immolator. If you're not aware, Immolator's 25 power, Merciless Witchblade is 35 power, but the thing with the Immolator, whilst it's a lot worse as a melee weapon, you're still seeing how powerful its special attacks can be. Pretty brutal still against sluggers, but the really great thing about the Immolator is the fact that you can put the Warlock in green cover and just absolutely rip people to pieces. And it's really hard for the Orcs to deal with. They don't want to send sluggers in to melee with an Immolator Warlock. It's not a good trade. So long as there's no Storm Boys, the Merciless Witchblade really doesn't feel like it's particularly needed. No aspect here on the Banshees, so they don't have their HP buff. You can see the Mechboy there doing really good against him, but Distort Field comes in. Wow, really lucky there for YZ again. Managing to snag those two Banshee models when they've got basically 60% HP. Very lucky. Now Stormboys are coming out. Wow, that is a really late squad of Stormboys. To be honest, I kind of thought he was just going to ride it straight into Tier 2. One of the biggest disadvantages of the Eldar Tier 1 is they don't really have a lot of good bashing potential. Immolator on the Warlock, guess what? Also good at bashing. The ability's good. But the damage over time as well is really effective against generators, so... This war gear, honestly, a little bit OP at the moment, I think. Probably should be 30 power. For the utility it gives. I mean, check out the ranged firefight here. He's nearly on par with the goddamn mech boy, so certainly if he gets in cover he will be, but the advantage that the mech boy has is the mech boy with the big shooter actually has above average range. So let's see, Cry did notice the Rangers getting jumped on by the Storm Boys. What's going on here? Quite a nice special attack there from the Sluggers onto the Warlock. Or maybe it wasn't even a special attack, I'm kind of like tripping out right now. Nice kill there, executed with the Storm Boys in retreat. And now a little bit of a precarious situation for the Guardians. This is 2.9.9.1, so there is still going to be a risk of a cheeky little nade spike onto the Storm Boys. We'll see how they go. There we go. But mostly evaded. However, he right-clicks in. He still gets a couple of models there in the Guardians, not bad, but generally map control favourable for Cry, with fewer units and therefore lower upkeep. So, a big wreck advantage right now for Cry. Moves the Rangers a little bit more forward so all three long rifles can fire. Ooh, potentially going to get the wipe here on the Sluggers. Ooh, wow. Time that retreat. Very close. But those Sluggers are going to survive. Now, I was just going to say, typical build against the Orcs and tier 2 as Eldar. You get spiders. They deal with everything. There's no heavy infantry for the Orcs until tier 3, so getting the high amount of piercing DPS is really nice. The most threatening Orc units are the melee units, and you have the ability to teleport away from them. So it's like a soft anti-melee tool. Cool use of Hollow Field there to disengage without actually bleeding models, but the Shooter Boys do have their knob now. So that means they do detect these units inside the Hollow Field. Is the mech boy not shooting? No. He's punching. Bit of a weird grenade there, but mech boy needs to be very careful. Ooh, not in cover from the Warp Spiders there. Warp Spiders going into melee, but they don't have their X-Arc with their Power Blades, so they don't really do that much damage in melee. They're only like Guardians right now. Wow. Close, but no cigar. Aiming what's that to suppress the Warp Spiders there to secure the mech boy's safe retreat. And here we go, we've got the knobs coming out now. One knob on the Sluggers already. Stormboy knob en route. No sign of the knob for the secondary Slugger squad yet. And we've got a flank here from the Banshees. Banshees now have their aspect, don't have their X-Arc. A lot of bleed though generally for the Eldar right now. But I'm not sure I like this pincer attack. It's going to be quite scary for these Banshees. They don't have their X-Arc and they're running into two squads of boys with their knobs. Very lucky though to initiate with a special attack. There goes the Bomber Boys to disrupt the Warp Spiders and stop them doing all their damage, but the Banshees are able to execute that squad of shooters. I say that was quite lucky from Cry that he managed to get the special so early in that fight, knocking the shooters over. That could have gone very, very differently if the shooters didn't get special straight away and the Banshees had to stay in a little bit longer against all that melee. It could have been the end of the Banshees and the shooters could have lived. But hey, Cry got it. He got the kill on the shooters there. Oh, and these Sluggers actually don't have their burners. They are just running around as a capping unit. A little bit interesting to use them as a capping unit if you're going to go double Sluggers. I would have thought double shooters then would have been more effective. If you just want them as a capping unit. More sources to annoy people with garrisons and shoot down the Banshees. Or the Warlock. I don't really get it. I guess he has more repair support, but he doesn't appear to want to exploit that. He's not got any vehicles yet. Of course, this is part of the advantage of going for the Warp Spiders. You have a bit of utility if the enemy does go for a vehicle, you can get your haywire grenades. And that's why Warp Spiders are so great. They really counter the entire roster of the Orc Tier 2. They're a little bit vulnerable to the Weird Boy, who can knock them out of cover and do big AoE damage and then make them subsequently get wrecked by shooters and then knocked out of cover. And there's the other combo that uses the Orcs to control the Spiders. You've got two forms of control with your Bomber Boys and with your jump. So you can use one of them to bait the Warp Spider jump teleport. And then when they've teleported, oh, this was a nice place, set up the Stormboys in retreat. But of course, spiders can teleport, so they just teleport behind the wall spider is, and they're going to get out fine. Teleport behind the Stormboys, rather. Mechboy doing what he can on the sidelines to harass. Not really achieving a whole lot. Probably didn't have a lot of HP. Guardian's going to pick up a Warlock Leader. That's going to give them substantial amount more HP, but importantly, it's going to give damage resistance against ranged attacks to all of the other Guardian models, and that is important because it means they're going to bleed less now when they're fighting the Mechboy. But it looks like the Banshees are dead here. Yeah, they're totally dead. Don't really know why Cry was taking that fight. I don't know if it was an even fight at first with the Sluggers and the Banshees, and the Sluggers got lucky with a special. The Slugger Nob has similar melee skill to the Banshees. Oh, a Slugger Boy squad just got wiped as well. Probably in the middle. Maybe like a Destructor kinetic pulse into an Immolate or something. Not really sure if the Rangers have got particularly high value here. I feel like they haven't, to be honest. I feel like he'd have done just as well with another squad of Guardians. Warlock really trying to stay in the fight here, but not really working out for him. He's got a lot of bleed there on the Sluggers, but of course he's died, so that's not great. And why is he just going to go tier 3? Cry also going tier 3. So right now in the current patch, the Eldar tier 3, not really very impressive. They have some decent units like the Fire Prism, but to be honest, it's overpriced. We'll be getting a price reduction in the next patch. D-Cannons are going to be getting a huge buff. Seer Council will have the option to pick up heavy melee spears. So a lot of cool buffs to the Eldar late game coming in the next patch, but it's not here right now, so... Ooh! Cry cancelled his tier 3 and instead has replaced his Warlock. Interesting. So right now we're looking at a game where Cry has 463 VPs. He doesn't actually have that much red for Webway gates, which would be useful to bleed out these final few VPs of YZ. He's been using a lot of his red on the Distort Field Global. Oh man. Again, no Power Blades on the Warp Spider Exarch here in the squad because he doesn't have his aspect to the Spider. And once again, it looks like the Sluggers... Oh my god, beautiful, beautiful special. And now a Warp Throw. Oh, juicy. Juicy, juicy stuff. But yeah, he doesn't want to re-engage with that Nob running around. That Nob's looking quite fearsome right now. Slugger's going to disengage Warp Spiders onto the point. I mean, map control is heavily, heavily in favour of Cry right now. But he's buying time, right? YZ at this point, tier 3. Going for a looted tank could be a problem. I mean, there's no real hard AV. You can delay it with the spiders if you can get the aspect, which shouldn't be too big of a problem for him. Shooter boys that he's replaced here, just give him some big shooters, fair enough. Keeps them a bit combat effective, but it keeps, really, the important thing is it keeps the upkeep down compared to getting an extra Nob. Spiders kind of messed up their teleport there. They weren't actually properly in cover. Generally, when you want to be teleporting around in a ranged firefight with spiders, you always want to make sure you're teleporting into cover because they are squishy, so they don't trade very well when they're not in cover. The whole point of spiders is they should always trade well because they should always have cover advantage. Teleporting behind the enemy's cover and making sure they're still in cover. Slugger Nobs absolutely going to town here. Killing a couple of rangers, finishing off the Guardians, and now the looted tank presents itself. This is going to be very difficult for Cry. Let's have a look at his eco. Yeah, not great. Has he just distort fielded himself? Looks like he has. He's trying to delay, get these sluggers off the point, which he is successful on for now. But... Looted tank really struggling to deal with the Warlock here in his green cover with this fucking tank trap. Tank trap, indestructible cover. And the Warlock does manage to force off the sluggers. Can you believe it? Got Providence now, so he can go invulnerable. But I think you have to charge that up by taking damage. Looks like spiders are going to catch the mech boy as well. Okay, so he's getting certain victories here, but now the looted tank's going to rotate over. No aspect on the way yet because Cry wanted to save up all of his resources to get the Fire Prism out. That's the hard AV that he needs. If he can position himself correctly and he can catch this looted tank with a nice hairwire, stun it, do a little bit of damage. Oh my god, look at the burst damage. Yikes, 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 that's a lot. Aim, what's that? To stop the warp spiders being able to move, they do teleport, but cannon shot catches one of them. And it's bleed. It is bleed. Now he's got the rangers as well, which are going to provide him with an immense amount of sight. Can we actually... Oh, I don't want to have a look at the sight because it'll show the game timer. The advantage here for Cry is that he can see further than his enemy can. Look how close this looted tank has to get in order to see the opponents. So the Fire Prism, of course, has really good range, 65 range. So it can just pew-pew at this tank from a distance, but if it gets rushed down by the tank and it's not got support, like the Haywire and the Spiders, it's going to be a problem. Fire Prism, you're not firing. It must be just out of range right now. Come on, Prism. Oh, that was poor by Cry. Really slow reaction there. He should have got a couple of shots on that tank. There is only one repair unit at the moment with this Sluggers since the Mech Boy is down. I would have thought replacing the Mech Boy would have been the priority for Cry, but for YZ, but apparently not. He's in the wrong mode on his fucking Prism. He's in disperse shot, not single. Okay, there's the single shot. Hits with a Haywire. But Storm Boys are going to be putting on the pressure now. They've got that heavy melee rear armor hits, but there goes the warp throw the Storm Boys away. And now Fire Prism was given enough time to take out that looted tank. Can a Bomber Boys take out the Prism? Bomber Boys on rear armor actually does decent damage. Fire Prism's still in the wrong fire mode. It needs to be in dispersed mode, not focused. And even the power melee choppers of the Storm Boys here doing quite significant damage. Because the Fire Prism is just so flimsy. Power melee still does 15% of the damage to it. Oh, that's dead. Heavy melee headbutt from the Storm Boys finishes it off. Rocket launcher of the Commandos not even needed. Look at the map control now. Suddenly the map control very, very blue for YZ, and Cry basically out of units. I mean, he can get another Prism, but it's not going to do that much because you've got a Commando squad. And if he goes for the Seer Council, a follow-up looted tank would probably be GG for Cry. I mean, I guess there's potential for him. Both players now got a lot of red. YZ got enough red for a Rocks. Cry nearly there for his Eldritch. I mean, you've got to play it out when there's only 85 VPs left for YZ. It's always an opportunity when you're playing as the Eldar. But it's a bit tricky. I feel like these Rangers aren't really achieving a whole lot right now. What level are they? They're level 4, man. Damn, they just don't do any damage. So they're just hiding in cover right now. Yeah, they're going to have to retreat. They're going to start bleeding models. Commandos focus firing the Warlock instead. Okay, that was a bit of a fuck up. Cry out here trying to make players there, throwing the Warp Spiders away in that whole situation. Slightly mistimed his autark bomb drop. What can you do? Honestly, seen some beautiful special attacks here from the Warlock. I feel like he's been quite lucky really with that Cry. Ever since he wiped that first Shooter Boy squad. But yeah, I mean, loses his Warlock again. Autark has to leave. I mean, it's over. Looted tank's coming out. I don't know why he went for this Autark. I think Seer Council with the hope there. Maybe he could have done something with it, but yeah, it's tough. Obviously, he was in a bad situation. Losing the Prism was the game-changing decision, really. He needed Rangers could have kinetic pulsed that Stormboy squad. Really, he needed that Stormboy squad to be getting hit by dispersed shot earlier. And the other thing is, remember, he was here and he had the opportunity to get at least one hit with the focus beam onto the looted tank. Probably 2 hits would have got in before the looted tank could even react and get away. So then that meant when the looted tank and the Prism were doing their trading and the Stormboy was getting the free chops in the back of the Prism, that actually the looted tank would have died a lot sooner and the Fire Prism would have had more HP. So then when the Stormboys were chasing the Fire Prism, it wouldn't have took 1 headbutt to kill the Prism. It might have took 3 or 4. And the Prism would probably have got away. And then prism plus Seer Council, suddenly you're in a much better position there. Just keep your rangers near the prism so commandos don't kill it. Keep the prism on disperse shot, so okay, they might get 1 rocket off, but you can't kill a prism with 1 rocket. I think it's like 2 to rear armor, maybe 3. So as long as, you know, they can get 1 off, but then you can disrupt them with the disperse shot, you should be alright. But anyway, there you go. Nice high level game. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for tuning in. Torpid signing out.